What's up, guys? Just out in the shop tidying up a few things. As you know, with DRZ here, I put a new stator in and I put a new regulator in. I've got the new battery in from Shirai, and I've also installed a fuse block, so all my accessories are now switched. They were before, but they were kind of janky because it was kind of had to be wired in a couple different places to have it switched. One back here was wired into the tail light for the relay of the heated grips. The other one I had my GPS dock wired into my old connection for the regulator, because I actually hardwired the regulator to the battery, because you get a little extra power that way when you upgrade the wires to I think it was 18 gauge or something. I forget what it was. I could be wrong of what I upgraded it to. Maybe 14 even. Might have been. I think that was it. 14. Anyway, I got all that done, and the bike's running fine now. But I was trying to address another issue that I had on my ride. Basically, this is a Ricochet skid plate here, and normally it doesn't have this cutout. It's just flat like that side, and this is the frame cutout normally on it, and it doesn't have this, so it was flat across. I'd cut that out a little bit to clear the header here on this FMF Powerbomb header, because it was actually wouldn't bolt up right, and it was going to make a rubbing sound. So I went ahead and cut it out. It wasn't enough, so now I've actually took it off and cut it out a whole lot, so it should be completely out of the way, no issues, because I don't want to have to mess with it again. But basically, after I did that, it was still rubbing, and it was because this header here, the way I installed it, and I actually called FMF and talked to them, and they said the gap here is supposed to be just paper thin, and you can see it is, because my paper sticks in there and it actually stays there just between the frame and the header. Because first through third gear, when I first installed it, would make a clanging sound, and that was actually the pipe clanging off the frame. And I knew what the sound was right away, because I was thinking that it was close. But I called FMF to make sure, and they said it's not supposed to touch the frame, it's supposed to be paper thin, and actually sent them some pictures, and they sent me some pictures of the install. Those are really good guys at FMF. I mean, you don't even have to wait on the phone for a minute, and they are answering the phone with your questions, and even replying to my emails were like instant replies to remedy my situation. So he basically told me to take everything off and tighten up the front pipe with just the paper gap up here, and then tighten it up at the head, and then move on to everything else. So I pretty much put the head pipe on, did that exhaust clamp, and then did the clamp up here, and they sent me all the pictures. I had it all installed right. It was just up here that it was just too close. So anyway, I got all that done, and I haven't got to ride it yet, obviously, because I'm waiting on an O-ring on the other side. It kind of looks like a cover like this here with 3 bolts on it, and it actually covers up the starter gear. And actually, replacing the stator, I had pinched an O-ring, which the O-ring I knew was kind of stretched, and it was kind of a problem fitting it, and I thought I might have stretched it. It was just dripping a little bit of oil just after I parked it from riding from the pressure. So I went ahead and ordered an O-ring for that, and it'll be here next week sometime. And that'll be just in time for my next ride, because I've got a ride coming up on June 3rd and 4th for the Show Me 500, which will be about 280 miles a day. Maybe? Maybe it was 230, I forget. Somewhere around there. And that's going to be another ride around southern Missouri. Completely different tracks than my Swinging Bridges ride that I had just got back from. And basically, that's what I'm getting this bike ready for. If I can't get it ready by then I'll be on the KLR, which I'll get to that in a second, because I've had to just do some maintenance with that in the last couple of days. And I'll tell you what I've been doing on that. But anyway, skid plates ready to go back on, new stators installed, regulator, fuse block up there to allow my switched accessories, and then the new Shirai battery. And this will be good to go, and I shouldn't have any other issues with anything. And I've also got another brake snake to reinstall here. I don't know if you remember, I had a brake snake on the DRZ, just like this one here. But ended up, I had it, see how this one's quite loose, and you can actually, when you're all the way down, it's still loose, it's not tight. The other one I actually installed a little bit tight, so when my pads wore down just enough, I wasn't able to fully brake because this was holding it. So I've got a new one to install. I actually got 2 of them, that way I have a spare. They're only $6 a piece. But I'm going to install the new one on the DRZ with a little space. But if you don't know what the brake snakes are for, when you're going through tall grass, it keeps stuff from getting stuck in between here and locking your brake on, like sticks and stuff. And it also if you happen to have a crash, it'll keep your pedal from getting ripped around, you know, and bent out, and then you won't have a brake anymore. And you know, it's a $6 prevention fix, and it's really useful. But yeah, I'm going to reinstall that today, and it'll basically be ready for the ride. And yeah. So anyway, on to the KLR. So if the DRZ isn't ready, because that gasket's supposed to be here the day before I leave. So if it doesn't get here, I've got to take this bike, which won't be bad. It's just a little bit bigger, and it's fun. It's just not as fun as the small 400 there. Oops, knocked something over. Anyway, so I just rode this, and actually rode it probably 170 miles geocaching. I actually hit my 200th geocache. So I went and did 15 in one day, and it put me at 201. I just grabbed one extra, just in case. So anyway, I actually had a crash on this bike. My own fault. We were out geocaching. We were probably on the 5th geocache or so of the day, and I was shooting for 15, so it was going to be a long day. Just out on country roads, you know, not populated roads at all. And we were going up to an S-curve, and my friend was behind me. And I go, hey man, there's an S-curve coming up, because I seen it on my GPS, and you know, we were ready to lean the bikes and have a, you know, what motorcycles do, lean the curves and ride them quick. But my problem is I do a lot of sightseeing, is what my wife calls it. I look left and right at the scenery, and when I should be looking forward. And it caught up with me this time. And I actually laid the bike over, and I'll show you I didn't get it on film. I had my GoPro, I just didn't have it on, because I was trying not to fill it up with just random footage that I'm have to go through and edit later. So I normally turn it on whenever something interesting's happening, but I should have had it on, and I didn't. That's going to change. I'm going to try to keep it on all the time, even if I have to pile through a bunch of editing and cutting stuff out. But anyway, I laid the bike over. Pretty much I came into the S-curve, and I didn't realize how sharp it was, because you know, the GPS, sometimes it looks sharp, sometimes it doesn't, depending on if you're zoomed in or out. So I didn't think it was as sharp as it was, and I actually looked left at a building that was looked like an old general store or something out in the middle of nowhere, and it was just wide open. I was just looking at it, and I looked back at the road, and I was just coming in hot to a turn, and I just couldn't lean it enough, so I immediately hit the brakes. And if you're a motorcyclist, you know, if you're leaning into a turn and you hit the brakes, braking brings your bike back up straight, and you're not going to be able to turn. So basically, I tried to ride it out through the ditch. I hit the ditch and hit the brakes, and pretty much laid it over on its left side. I was pretty much like this, hit the brakes and laid it over like that. My body, you know, when the bike laid over, my body kind of went like this, and I kind of flipped over like that, flipped over the handlebars, which it was already laid over, so it was kind of like I was on the ground rolling. But anyway, it was over the handlebars, ended up flip-flopping to where my feet were that way and my head was this way, and the bike was back here. And I laid there for a couple minutes, like, because my side was numb, and basically I wanted to lay there and make sure I wasn't hurt, because, you know, it's usually a lot of adrenaline, and it happened so quick, you know, you can't tell if you're hurt. So basically I laid the bike over completely on this side, and I didn't get hurt at all. I basically broke the visor on my helmet here. Let me show you. So I broke this part right here. There's a little screw here. The screw stayed in, which helps your helmet adjust up and down. And it actually popped this off, so it kind of broke it out around here, which I just had some tape that my friend had with him, some Gorilla Tape, and I fixed it up, and it was fine. Rode it the rest of the day like that. Basically, I got a bruise about baseball size right here. I've got a long scrape that actually turned into a bruise right here. And I guess that's when my legs hit the handlebars, and when I was kind of tumbling over the handlebars on the ground, of course, so not really in the air or anything. And I forget on this side. Oh no, it was up here. I actually have a big old scrape up here. Not even, it didn't even bleed. It was just like a scrape, and it kind of bruised a little bit. The next day I was fine for that stuff. I actually felt like I stretched a muscle in my neck on the right side because I couldn't lift my head off the pillow. So I imagine I got just a bit of whiplash from it. But other than that, I'm completely fine. I learned from it. I'm not going to sightsee when turns are coming up. Completely my fault, you know. Completely my fault. I just wish I had the camera on, then you guys could see it. Basically, damage to the bike. The front triples, the front tire was cocked and the handlebars were cocked, so it was kind of not really in line. So if my handlebars were straight, the bike wouldn't, the front tire wouldn't be straight. So we pretty much kicked that straight. And I took my Allen wrenches out and adjusted all of this because this was pushed. and I think my control was pushed, and that was probably it that was pushed. So I pretty much had Allen wrenches in my bag. Adjusted all that stuff as straight as I could, got back on the road, and then there was a lot of grass stuck up in this area. And then this case here, you can't really see it, but you know, it's just pushed in just a little bit that you can notice it, and you can see the scraping. Let me get down here. We can see this. Can't really see it, but anyway, there's scraping right across here, and then there was some mud and stuff jammed up here. But the box held up fine. The rack held up fine and guarded the bike. The front crash guard guarded the bike. I mean, the bike performed amazing for laying it over in the ditch and sliding as far as it did. And like I said, I'm going to throw up some pictures. If I hadn't already, you're going to see the pictures of the skid mark and the picture of the road from where I went off. I turned the camera around and took a picture of that. And I also have a picture of my GPS, because it shows my route, and you can see I blew the turn. And you can see the crash on the GPS of the map when I got home. So I'll throw those up for you to check out. But basically, I didn't break a turn signal. That's just amazing, these turn signals, you know. I've dropped this bike so much, and these turn signals I never broke. I mean, same with the rear. The rear don't really stick out. You can see it right there. It doesn't really stick out. But this one does, and I would have thought this would have broke, but it didn't break at all. It was completely fine. Nothing broke. Ended up riding the rest of the day, getting my 15 geocaches, and headed home, and hit a little bit of rain, and it was good. Not even a problem with the bike. The bike started right up. I rode it out of the ditch, and it was great. But yeah, so that was interesting, to say the least. So, like I said, the bike's fine. I'm fine. I learned from it. I realized it was my mistake. You know, just sightseeing. You know, and it's just a little bit silly. That squirrel there. What's he doing? Just trying to get a nut in life. Oh, a couple of them. But yep. So that's what I've been up to. I didn't really film on the trip at all. I just kind of took some pictures of different places we cached at. So yeah, just kind of hanging out in the garage, watching TV, and you know, cleaning up and fixing little things. And also, when we got back, I completely took this front end apart, loosened everything, straightened everything like it should be, and checked for damage. Nothing was bent. And I also took all this apart and re-greased my neck bearings, top and bottom bearing. I repacked them, and they were in extremely good shape. So they got repacked, and I redid everything, Loctited everything up here again, and just completely checked the front end. And it is good to go. Not even a bit of damage anywhere. And this crash bar has actually been crashed on this side twice, and it's just got a little bit of bendage in it. You can see there's no gap between this piece and that anymore, whereas this side there's, you know, a finger gap. So that's what crash bars are for. You know, they're going to bend and absorb the damage, and eventually one day I'll take that off and try to bend it back. But right now it's not even an issue, so there's no point to try to bend it back or anything. But yeah, that's what I've been up to. So I appreciate everybody watching and checking out my videos for the trip that I went on. And I've got the other trip coming up. I don't know how much I'll throw together. I don't want to make another 4-episode series of the Show Me 500 ride, because it's just gravel road. I'll probably just throw together like a quick montage of interesting places that we ride through and that kind of thing. That way it kind of keeps it quick. I'm not one to throw up too many 20-minute videos, you know. So anyway, guys, I appreciate everybody watching, and hope everybody has a good Memorial Day weekend. We're just coming up to today's Friday, so it's Memorial Day weekend here. So yeah, thanks for watching, everybody.